Good evening, you're watching the main news on ATV. I'm Belinda Lloyd.
And I'm Hailing Chan. Here are tonight's top stories.
KMB fares to rise by almost 5% next month, less than the 8.5% the bus company wanted.
Critics lash out at Cheung Kong for bypassing buyer's stamp duty over sale of hotel suites.
CY Leung admits locals hit by tourist influx but adds that visitors benefit the economy. Kowloon motorbus fares will increase by an average of 4.9% next month.
The government insists the fare hike is much smaller than the bus company had asked for and should still remain affordable to the general public. Transport and Housing Secretary Anthony Cheung today announced KMB's second fare hike in 2 years.
Having given full and careful consideration of the matter, the Executive Council approved an average fare increase of rate of 4.9% for KMB. The new fares will take effect on the 17th of March this year.
Reaction was immediate, with a coalition to monitor public transport and utilities warning of a knock-on effect.
That would, of course, directly impact on the general public's future expense. And also, it will probably attract other transport operators, including other franchise bus companies, and also maybe the MTR corporation to have a further propose of fare increase. If that happens, that will, of course, have a further impact on the general public's affordability.
But Cheung insisted that 3/4 of KMB passengers will pay no more than 40 cents extra per journey.
The rate that we have now approved, which is 4.9%, is much lower than the 8.5% asked for by KMB. This rate is also lower than the inflation rate of 6.31%, as well as a change in median monthly household income of 7.14% since KMB's last fare increase in May 2011.
But the bus company slammed the decision, saying that the fare hike is completely insufficient to cover salary expenses, petrol price increases and tunnel fee rises. KMB says it's under serious financial pressure. The government did admit that the fare increase is unavoidable because the bus company is barely surviving.
We feel that this 4.9% approved fare increase is a level that should be acceptable by the community. But of course, we are aware that the KMB's accounts remain to be difficult. The KMB is likely to run a deficit in 2012 after settling its accounts. And even with the fare increase of 4.9%, the overall financial situation of KMB will not be completely improved immediately.
On a more positive note, Cheung said that the rationalization of bus routes should help ease the financial burden on KMB to request price increases in the future.
The government will start talking to various district councils and local communities to gain their support to larger scale bus route rationalization, because we believe that the better, the more efficient we can utilize the bus routes, not only will this improve the operating efficiency of the bus companies, this will also help to reduce roadside congestion as well as roadside emission.
KMB claims that 220 of its 400 bus routes are in desperate need of reorganization and urged the government to negotiate it as soon as possible. It also insisted that compared to other public transport companies which increase fares every year, its fare hike is much lower. Cheung Kong Holdings is under increasing scrutiny over its sale of hotel suites at its Apex Horizon all-suite hotel complex.
Critics accuse the company giant of exploiting loopholes to help investors avoid paying the controversial buyer's stamp duty on residential flat purchases. Developers have slammed the 15% buyer's stamp duty on non-permanent residents and firms who purchase homes in the city. The tax introduced in October was aimed at cooling the property sector, but critics branded it as a protectionist measure that violates the principles of a free market economy. But property giant Cheung Kong has been selling units at its Apex Horizon all-suite hotel in Kwai Chung, with purchasers not having to pay the buyer's stamp duty because the complex is listed as a commercial property. Last night it sold the first 65 or 360 units, raking in almost $250 million, and another 30 units were offered for sale to Cheung Kong employees yesterday. The Lands Department is investigating whether the disposal of Apex Horizon units amounts to a breach of Cheung Kong's lease terms and conditions for the hotel. The developer's executive director, Justin Chu, said today he welcomed the probe, as this would clear doubts about the status of these units. He also justified the company's move as a reasonable business decision and stressed it isn't going against the government. But former Democratic Party lawmaker Lee Wing-tak suspects Cheung Kong is exploiting a loophole to sell these units and warned prospective buyers.
The owners and the residents within that particular units cannot enjoy the rights as other residents in residential use blocks. For example, you cannot use open fire in the kitchen. You don't have a kitchen, and also you don't have an open window for ventilation. And also, it does not tell you how much you will shoulder in the future about the maintenance and repair cost of these kinds of hotel land use units. So it needs a prompt reaction from the Lands Department and Home Affairs Department, what kinds of risks this purchaser will face in the future.
Government housing advisor Michael Choi urged officials to clear the air over whether the sales of these units could actually be illegal.
My own view is that important thing, whether it is allowed by the law to sell or not. If it's not allowed by the law, then I think they should not sell. If that is allowed by the law, then if the law allowed that, they can sell it. So I would look at it from this angle, whether the sale of the hotel room are in accordance with the provisions of the law in Hong Kong, including the land lease, including other requirements.
Housing Chief Anthony Cheung said this afternoon that the Apex Horizon all-suite hotel has not been defined as residential premises in its land lease and urged potential home buyers to be cautious about this issue. In a statement released this evening, the Development Bureau stressed that if authorities come to the conclusion that there has been a breach of the land lease terms and conditions, officials would not rule out taking necessary action. Development Secretary Paul Chan said if a buyer changes the layout of the unit, that could be illegal. In the meantime, the Bureau is gathering more information for its own investigation into the sale of units at Apex Horizon. The government is to review tourist numbers in a bid to see that locals do not have to bear the burden of large numbers of people flocking to the city.
The aim is to reap the benefits of tourism while ensuring that there's no inconvenience for locals. ATV's Bola reports.
The Lunar New Year was a bumper time for Ocean Park and Disneyland, with both attracting record numbers of visitors. But for locals, the influx of tourists, mainly from the mainland, caused disruptions. This did not go unnoticed by Chief Executive Leung Cheng-ying. Speaking to reporters before today's